You've lost your dog, haven't you?
Yeah, I can't find my dog. What do you care?
I had a very surprising dream last night. Your dog passed you by in a bus.
In a bus?
In a bus. Like a regular commuter.
I'm the detective in charge of finding your dog.
Interesting. You want to see a picture of him?
No.
I forgot to give you this. This should help. Approach the subject of telepathic communication with your dog.
Oh, good dog.
I don't know how it happened or why, but the palm tree is no longer a palm tree.
I don't like this at all.
Everything you know is wrong. Everything. Wait, no, not really. I don't know.
Wait, is up down? Does gravity work in reverse?
Dogs and cats sleeping together, total chaos.
Is it Bizarro World?
It's not quite Bizarro World, but it is definitely wrong. Everything is just a little bit wrong.
A little off kilter.
Wrong. It's wrong.
Is it, what? Shut up, Brian Zelda.
Make your head explode like that tire.
If you were the character Dolph here, played by Jack Plotnick, and woke up and your whole day went like this, you would definitely clue in pretty quickly that, wow, something is amiss.
Does Plotnik not sound like a Yiddish word for a stomach infection to anybody else?
I think that's actually what it means.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is a film by French musician and director Quentin Dupieux, also named by his stage name Mr. Uzo or Uizo. Oizo. I have no idea.
Oizo.
But he entered the film world with his 2010 movie Rubber, which there was certainly no end of talk about because the premise was it was a horror movie where a tire was killing people with telepathic powers. Okay, well, hats off to you for trying something that no one has done yet in horror. But,
yeah, not counting Zardoz.
Well, yeah. But, it led to things like, if we're going to be that arbitrary, well, fuck it. I had no idea. It's a bottle opener that falls in love with cats, and because it's constantly rejected, it
Or it's a bottle of whiskey that, gets Brian in trouble at work and...
Wait, that happens for real.
That's not... Yeah, that's a reality show.
All right. Just rewrite some things in this script.
Yeah, that wasn't going to work.
I still hadn't worked out what happened with the bottle opener, but anyway, that's all right. I'm glad you cut me off because I have no idea.
Yeah, it was going nowhere.
I have no idea. But this is whereas Rubber had, I guess, a little bit more of a structure. It was still completely absurdist, no question. Wrong is more of trying to present absurdist comedy with not much of a structure at all. The only real structure that's going on here is that Dolph, who wakes up in the morning in a suburban home, who finds that his dog is missing, and his search to try and figure out what happened to his dog, that's really the structure. Everything else that happens to him is him dealing with this variety of odd characters who pop up, who each have their own... they're all living in the same reality, except it's, like I said, it's a reality, just something's wrong with it. No one seems to be commenting on it, except Dolph seems like he's, some part of him is aware that things aren't supposed to work this way, but he never actually openly questions any of these things that happen. One of the big things, of course, is William Fichtner, who I think is the best thing about this movie.
Yeah.
Playing Master Chang, who, for some reason, speaks in an Indian accent.
He talks like this.
Yes.
Because that's really funny.
Is a guy who has abducted his dog because he runs a business that tries to teach people to truly love their pets by taking them away from them for a while so that once they get them back, they learn how to appreciate their pet and life again.
I'm the founder of a company that specializes in abuse prevention for pets. I love pets more than anything in this world, and I can't stand the thought of them being hurt. Most people buy pets without considering the implications. They love them at first and care for them, but then lose interest day by day and start neglecting them. They stop loving them, causing the pets tremendous emotional pain, and they are unable to express it. That's how the dynamics of abuse set in.
Okay, that's the backbone of the story. That's another thing where anybody would go, no, fuck you.
It wouldn't work on Corey.
Yeah.
By the time he got that dog or cat back, he'd be like, oh, I got a new cat.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd be beating William Fichtner to death once I got my dog back.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's not that kind of universe. In fact, my theory of this is that like, this has got to be some sort of purgatory or something. He seems to be the only character who's aware at all something is wrong.
Well, you got things like a tree that shouldn't be a pine tree is growing in the...
Yeah, it was a palm
tree, and it turns into a pine tree. One of the starkest things is that he goes to work in an office that's raining inside.
Constantly.
Yeah, constantly, and none of his coworkers seem to like him.
Yeah. Well, because, as it turns out, he got fired a long time ago.
Yes.
He just keeps showing up for work every day and, like, fake typing on his computer that's not even on.
Yes. I mean, but it's one thing to go to a job that you don't like, where everybody hates you. It's another to be a job that you got fired from, where it's raining inside. I mean, okay, I get it. I mean, pass the back teen, because somebody won't stop hitting me over the head. But this guy's life has gone wrong, and he's kind of sleepwalking through it. It's almost like it felt like a metaphor for a death in a family, or somebody who was severely affected by a divorce and just still going on and on and on.
I'm not even sure, though, that, like, the director really wanted there to be a direct metaphor here. I mean, like, I spent a lot of time reading stuff about this film after the fact, and no one seems to have anything vaguely resembling a consensus on what he was trying to say, because I don't think he really is trying to say anything. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that if you can make an entertaining film. And this is obviously not something that's going to be serviceable to everybody who walks in. It's a movie like Holy Motors. Some people are going to totally love it and get it, and other people are going to go like, what the fuck was that? Even people who get Holy Motors still admit, I can't really completely explain what that movie was about. You're not supposed to there either. But this is the film that more so to me actually appealed to me. I liked its absurdist humor. I liked the way all this odd shit was happening to him. It reminded me, if anything, of Steven Soderbergh's Schizopolis. I don't know if you remember that one from way early
I
in
never
his
saw
career.
it.
But there's another one that was just an experimental, bizarre film that just goes from kind of one set piece to the other. It doesn't have much in the way of structure, but it was so odd and interesting that it made me laugh consistently. And I kind of felt the same way about Wrong.
I saw this during the last Fantastic Fest. And it's funny that you bring up Holy Motors, which I also saw during that. And I kind of felt very similar about both movies, where, wow, this is experimental, and I like it to a point. There was kind of like a 20-minute threshold when I was kind of like, all right, is this actually going to do something other than this, and then just try to, freak me out or be odd? And I just felt with this, we're like, okay, it's kind of just going through the same things. Maybe it's amping it up a little bit. But as Brian and I talked about, the movie is so mean to the main character. It reminded me of that Coen Brothers film, A Serious Man.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know what? I don't like seeing one guy get beat up on constantly all through the film, only to never win.
Yeah, it's like if the story of Job was written by Tom Stoppard all of a sudden. Like,
yeah.
It's an absurd, this absurd idea of, and this is what's really interesting about it is I didn't like it because it was almost weaponizing its absurdity against this guy, which is exactly what he did in Rubber with the tire, except that was, kind of a offbeat horror film, and this is supposed to be just a straight quote unquote quirky comedy. So it felt completely out of place to me.
I felt like the opposite, in that it's because of the structure in Rubber and the way that ultimately none of it makes any sense anyway, that it was more irritating to me. I was like, I thought we were getting at something here, and there was nothing. And I was like, okay, if you had launched with that, I would have felt a little more, and I did like Rubber. I just wasn't as in love with it as every hipster in Austin was.
No, folks, when people don't agree with us, they're hipsters.
Oh, right. No, I forgot. Did I not make that clear?
I really wish I could fit into skinny jeans.
I realize what an incredible hypocrite I am right now. But that being said, I like this entirely because right from the get-go, it's like, no, this isn't really supposed to have that kind of structure. It's just absurd. It's creatively absurd. It's bizarre. It's either going to appeal to you or it's not. I can't argue with anything you guys say about the things you've said about this film of why you don't like it. I mean, honestly, there's no way to critique something like this outside of just personal taste and whether or not you found it funny, because it's well made for what it is.
Absolutely.
It's well shot. The performances, what they're playing at are good, but it's at this point like trying to critique a Salvador Dali painting. It's like some of us are going to see certain things in the weirdness, and some of us are going to get nothing from the weirdness. And for me, for whatever reason, I got nothing out of this weirdness.
Brian Salisbury says, Salvador Dali, overrated artist.
I don't think that's what I said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what he said.
But Okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry. And when I'm done editing it, that'll be what it says.
Oh, I heard that happens.
it is one of those things, so much of the Holy Motors thing where, man, if this is turning you on and you're into it, well, God bless you. Go for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, it does it for me to a point. And it's not like I think I'm smarter than everybody else, but there is that thing like, okay, it's doing this, and maybe I can't predict exactly what it's going to do, but I'm kind of predicting overall where it's going to go. And both movies ended with something that was not quite as out there, and it almost made me go like, well, shit, if you're just going to do that, like almost like you did have a point, but except you didn't, it just kind of came at the end, it makes me like it a little bit less.
Yeah, this one kind of comes to an end point there's only one or two ways this can end, and this chose the way that a comedy ends, quite frankly. And I was like, okay, it still doesn't I didn't feel like it insinuated that there was any larger point. It just was like, okay, we put this guy through enough. And he gets a little bit of a reward there at the end. And that was, I mean, it's a relief with a film like this, because you really are watching this guy get tortured throughout his shit. He deserves a break. And in the end, I kind of like, okay, that was like a little refreshing glass of water at the end there. I mean, yeah, I was the same way with you. In 20 minutes in, I'm going, is this just going to keep going like this, or is this building to something? But 20 minutes after that, I was like, okay, it's not building towards something, but I keep laughing at it. I keep having fun with it, with its sense of just like it being inside a Terry Gilliam cartoon if he was like on antidepressants,
Yeah, and movies like that, for me, if they're an hour long, I could fall in love with them.
Yeah.
But when they go past that, then I start to go,
it was a pretty tight 94 minutes, though, to be
It is.
fair.
It is.
I mean, I didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome, but once again, if you're not enjoying what it's doing, I mean, even 30 minutes would be overstaying its welcome.
I think for me, the difference that made me like Rubber and not like this as much, and I'm not even saying that I strongly dislike this movie. I mean, God love it for being genuine and unique and weird. Like, I would much rather a movie like this not grab me than sit through a certain other giant, studio comedy we watched tonight. Like, at least this is trying for something, but I think the difference here is that in Rubber, I felt like that odd sort of Greek chorus allowed for a more natural connection to the audience, whereas in this one, our the voice of the audience, or the eyes through which we see this movie, is this guy who is also in and of himself absurd. So, I don't know, I just felt like there was an extra layer of distance there. I think that might be why it didn't grab me as much as Rubber did.
The thing I'll say about this director that I came out of this feeling strongly is like, okay, you've sowed your wild oats for creativity at this point. You've proven that you have real talent with visuals.
Absolutely.
You have real talent with putting together editing and music with what you're doing and everything. In fact, there are points in this that are creepy in almost a Twin Peaks sort of way at moments. And you're like, wow, what if this guy put that type of skill that he's obviously possesses to work on something that was a real mystery, or something that took place in our world, or at least something close enough that you could piece it together, like Twin Peaks or something like that. Wow, I can hardly wait to see when this guy stops taking nitrous oxide hits between every scene.
And that's funny, because I really thought you were going to say, I can't wait to see him remake Hausu.
Yeah, right?
So
he would be the only guy who
Right,
could,
yeah.
I think.
It sounds like for the most part, we agree on all the same points of it. The positives and the negatives. We just might be swayed more one way or the other.
Yeah, and I can't even rave about this. It's one of those films. It is, even in the terms of like art absurdity, it's a piece of fluff.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, it really is. Either you're going to think it's funny and cute, or you're just going to find it annoying. And I don't think any of us could say we could blame anybody for feeling either way.
No.
I mean, I can't even give this a full price, because it's not a full price movie. It's unrealized piece of art of a director who should be working towards something more serious at this point, and I hope he does. So I'm going to give this a matinee, but a pause, like a matinee, like, hey, if you're, maybe you should check this guy out. I have a feeling he's going to be a guy to watch once he gets a little bit more serious.
Yes. Well, not being a pretentious hipster douchebag, I can't quite give it a matinee. But,
Okay, I had that coming.
but as Brian pointed out, the originality of it is something special, and you don't get a lot of that, and it makes it worth seeing for that. I mean, when I think back to how I felt for that first 15 to 20 minutes, I was like, man, I was really digging it. I just wish it hadn't worn out its welcome with me, but it's certainly just a personal taste thing, and I don't hate it, and there could be a time where I could come into it in the middle of it and maybe watch the rest and enjoy it. Although, I guess, I don't know. When I think about the last joke at the end, it was just kind of like, oh man, for real? Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. For me, it's more of a rental.
Yeah, I mean, I don't often say this, but I 100% agree with Leon. I think it's a very interesting movie. It's trying things. It really believes in what it's doing. There's nothing it's trying to sell you at any point. And I will say that I would like to be able to develop pet telepathy. So perhaps I should buy Master Chang's book and see what comes of that. But yeah, I think it's worth seeing. But I can't give it higher than a rental.
You both are wrong.
No, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
No, sir, you definitively are wrong here.
See, you know how I know I'm not wrong? It's because I'm the outsider. I'm the minority who can look at you, the general public, and go, man, you guys, you don't even have any real taste. Why don't you go watch Identity Thief? You like that kind of shit.
I'm pretty sure that if you asked anybody, I would be the minority in this situation.
No.
Race jokes.
I'm a quarter Jewish.
Dating a Jewish girl does not make you a quarter Jewish. I don't know if you knew that, but that is wrong.
Honey, can you come put a little Jewish in me?
Wait, still wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Anyway.
Mike, where are you?
I think I'm at the end of the world.
Do you like it?
It's kind of pleasant.